Welcome everybody to another episode of Mass Effect Andromeda. I am Jediredeyex. We're here today to talk about the 1.08 update. Now, we released a video that covered all the patch notes and bugs and technical issues, as far as like the coding and things that were going wrong there. Guys, and this is going to continue on. This is a lot of the changes that are coming to combat and combat balancing through the multiplayer. Now, most of this comes through our community feedback. So EA, BioWare, those guys they're listening to us, and this is going to address a lot of the issues that a lot of us have had since the very beginning of the game, since its release. Now, there's a lot of stuff going on, guys, so we're going to cover all of it. I'm going to kind of sum up what's going on, and then we'll go into more detail later. Now, first off, they addressed a lot of the weapons. Now, specifically weapon bloom and accuracy. They've increased accuracy. They have decreased your weapon bloom size, but on certain weapons that are long fire weapons, they've increased the time that your reticle bloom will happen. So basically what that means is your reticle will get larger and you get more inaccurate sooner. However, majority of the weapons, their reticle size has been decreased, which is fantastic for a lot of those assault rifles that we were using out there. Now, there's been a bunch of melee balances as well. All of the melees have been buffed. Every melee has been buffed, but also Juggernaut shield took a nerf. So it's not going to be as powerful as it was, and I know this is going to upset some people that have just the massive melee builds, but with the balancing around it and what they're taking away from Juggernaut shield, what they're really just trying to do is they're just trying to make it not the go-to piece of gear when you want to run a melee build. So you'd be able to increase your biotics or your tech without being forced to run the Juggernaut shield as the factor for that build. They've addressed a bunch of issues with enemies, mostly our one-shot killers, all our sync killers, the Brute, the Ascendant, even the dogs, when they jump up and grab you, they consider that a sync shot when we have to escape from them, so the Breachers. So what they've done is they have adjusted a lot of the times from when they jump up to another level, so to address this teleporting issue, which is fantastic, because that's one of the biggest issues I've personally had in the game. If a Fiend is on the board, it doesn't matter where he is on the board, it seems like half a second later I'm being insta-killed by him. So they're addressing this, guys, and hopefully this is going to knock down that one-shot kill time that we're all getting. Now, this is one of my favorite parts of the whole thing, guys. Any of you that played Mass Effect 3, you remember when some of the DLCs came out? They introduced all sorts of new packs into the store. Well, guys, it's finally here. So if you were looking to just bump up your roster or weapons or supplies, they've added tons of new packs in there so we can get specifically more of what we're looking for. So if you're trying to level up those N7 characters, you can buy just a reserve pack to try to get better rolls on just characters. Arsenal packs for weapons. They've got jumbo packs that are increasing the amount of supplies we're getting, and mod packs so you can get your weapon mods up there. Okay, guys, we're going to go a little bit more into the specifics. That's sort of the roundabout for what they've done. Now, firstly, in the melee, they've increased all of the melee powers. So your Omni Blade's gone up to the Cryo Gauntlet, Sorry Sword, Krogan Hammer, and the Headbutt. They have all been increased dramatically, almost double of what their last damage was for all of them. And guys, I'm going to leave a note in the bottom with a link to the description in this, so you guys can see that for yourselves. Now, guys, in the powers, they've fixed a lot of the powers with the Solarian Infiltrator. He was having problems with synergy and not being affected by all powers. Now it is affected by all powers. Energy drain has been decreased by 5%, so it's not going to give you quite as much. It's still going to be very effective, as opposed to kicking you in right there. Cryo Beam's been increased, so it gives you a bunch more of assist score. The damage on Shockwave has been increased dramatically, so that's going to be much more effective. Overload has been increased dramatically as well. That's gotten over 100% increased damage. And it doesn't just chain damage in the final one now, it also adds damage to it. And all of our grenades. Frag grenades, stickies, trip mines, they all now bypass the enemy shield gates, which is fantastic for when you were fighting the shielded enemies, getting that knocked out. Combos have been increased, all your tech combos. Throw now does standard combo damage instead of a negative 25. Our weapons, they've improved the accuracy and the reticle bloom, which we went over just a little bit ago. They have increased some of the assault rifles themselves. Quite a few of the pistols, the Talon and the Charger both got increases. Now, the sniper rifles, they went a little weird. The Vanquisher, the weight went up on it, but the Widow, the weight went down. They've increased the camera shake, removed the camera shake on the Indra, and its recoil with the incisor as well. And the Viper S now does significantly more damage than the original one. Now, guys, getting into the enemies, they have addressed all of these. They've addressed all of these sync attacks after jumping from another level or running. Now, bronze enemies are going to do 5% more damage. Silver enemies will do 10% more damage, with gold enemies doing 10% more damage. So all of the enemies are getting a little bit of a buff there, without going too incredibly over the top. The shield gate duration now has been decreased quite a bit for the enemies. It has been increased quite a bit in single player, and it's been adjusted to scale with our difficulty in multiplayer, which is nice. So the harder difficulty, guys, the harder the enemies are, and so I imagine gold's going to be a little bit harder to take care of now. Also, enemies that are in cover will shoot you a whole lot quicker when you're out in the open running around, which I know has been a problem trying to draw them out. They did make a few enemy adjustments, nothing really significant. For the Ket, it's mostly the auto-sync stuff. For the Remnant, they increased weapon damage on the assemblers a little bit, changed firing times, but mostly that's all pretty much the same, guys. And then for the Outlaws, it's the Pariah has been adjusted a little bit. She was probably the squishiest of all the armors, and the Hydra's sync attack wind-up is 20% faster, and now it will kill you, just like a regular one-shot when they pick you up and slam you. So, guys, stay away from those Hydras now. Guys, what do you think of all this? There's going to be a link down below to the full patch notes, guys, where you can check them out. I want to know your comments. I want to know your feedback, guys. I think EA and BioWare, I think they're responding very well. I think all this talk of the game being shelved and all that, I think those were just sort of, he said, she said, rumor worries. But anyway, guys, I am Jediredeyex, and as always, we will see you on the battlefield.